All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of No Bull with Noble. This is episode 12. And I keep forgetting to say this, but if you're watching on like YouTube, Spotify, like subscribe, give us a like, rate us 5 stars if you're on like Apple Music or Spotify, whatever. Because I never say that, and I don't want to preach it. But if you're listening and you're enjoying it, then if you don't like it, give us 1 star and tell us why. But if you like it, then go for it. But today we have Risa Freeman on the episode. Risa, welcome.
Thank you.
Realtor, been in the business for 30 plus years, which is crazy. I'm hoping that I'm there at some
You will
point.
be for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm hoping.
And it goes back. It goes like that.
Really?
No, it does not.
You think it takes time?
Yes. No, the time just doesn't go as fast as you think it does.
Right. I don't know, because I don't know. For me, when I was deciding whether I wanted to go into real estate, I was like, I need to see if I can envision myself being in this business till past retirement.
And could you see it when you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think when I got in, I could see that. I couldn't envision myself in it for the long term. I really couldn't.
Really?
Like I thought it's a stopgap. I'll maybe do this for a while and then do something else. And yeah.
So how come you got into it?
I really got into it just to be able to afford to go back to school. That's the truth. I had a friend in real estate. It was 1988, 99, 89. The market was incredible. She said, come into real estate, you'll make enough money in a year to go back to school, which I did. That first year, I did make enough money to go back to school. But then I looked at it and said, well, if I've made this much money, I'm never going to make this much going back to school. I'll just not go back to school and stay in real estate. So
what would you have gone back to school for?
I saw myself doing, I put my acceptance to counseling psychology, but in the meantime, I'm doing lots of counseling psychology in this business anyway, because real estate
that's all it is.
That's what it is. So yeah, that's what I wanted to do. And and I never went back to school.
Yeah, because I feel like once you're good in it, you see how good you are the first year.
Yeah, and it speaks to you. Like it either speaks to you or in the first year you say, no, this is not for me. You either love it or you find things that you love about it and it's something that you want to do every day, or you're not meant for the business.
Right. You didn't consider doing it part-time?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not a part-time gig. Real estate done properly isn't a part-time gig. It's a full-time gig. I think a lot of people would agree with me. I'm not to say that some people don't do fine doing it part-time, but for me, no. I had to give it 100% to get where I am.
Yeah, because even today, you hear the saying, part-time hours, part-time pay, and I feel like a lot of people get into real estate. It is a huge jump with the amount of money that you have to pay up front or monthly, and then people who moved out and they have bills to pay. The money doesn't come right away. You're not selling houses in the first week. Yeah. You're not getting paid every 2 weeks like any other job. It's completely different. And once you take that plunge, once you go and you do it for the first time, and you're like, okay, I'm 100% committing to this. Like that's where I feel like people succeed the most. But
100%.
it's very hard to do it to do it full time if you're not ready to commit and you don't have the financials. But
yeah, if you're not in it for the long haul, then it's just expensive and a lot of time commitment until you start rolling and get comfortable doing it. Yeah.
And did you own your first house before you went into real estate?
Absolutely not. Okay. No. I was single. I was living in an apartment. I had a job. I was just living, check to check. I was really young. And as I said, I'd been in school and I thought I'd go back in a year or whatever. And no, I was renting and it was hard. I was having, and I had to be able to have enough money to be able to afford that 6 months or whatever it was going to be until things started happening. And that was tough. My family wasn't here. But no, I didn't. I had an inexpensive apartment. I mean, today, Everything was inexpensive back then. Oh my God. So I didn't even have a car. I went into real estate. I didn't have a car.
Really?
I got my license. I didn't have a car. And I went into an office and asked them if I could come and work there. And I didn't have a car. I
So
didn't
how
own
did
a
you get
car.
around for doing showings or whatever?
I got a car. In fact, the broker at that time said, well, there's somebody in the office who has a car going off lease. But I didn't even, I was like the only real estate agent in the world who didn't have a car. But I got one quickly, and and I just went on. I just took somebody's lease over, and all of a sudden I had a car.
That's good.
Yeah,
because
well, it'd be hard to do it without.
It's very hard. Like even for me, like with the cast on, like I was advised by the doctor, like you're not supposed to be driving for the next month, and what am I supposed to do with all these showings that I have to do and go around and do things? Like I've had fortunately people in my family who have supported me and have taken me to these showings, and it's cost them a couple of hours on the weekend and during the weekdays. But yeah, it's extremely hard when someone wants to see something that day, like, okay, let's go today at 4 p.m. Can you do that? And I'm like, I don't know, I need to go speak to everyone in my family, see if anyone's available to take me, or take an Uber, which are still like not that expensive, but still, if they want to go downtown, it's going to cost me that's like $100 to go down and back. And at that point, I don't want to say it's not worth it, but
I mean, I guess if you're living downtown and you're selling only condos downtown, and you can kind of get around and your office is there, it might be doable, but not the way I work or you're going to work. Like you need to have wheels. And
especially back then, when you didn't have a car, how many condos were there? I'm sure all of these are newly built or built in the last 20 years that they weren't there when you started.
Well, not only that, it's kind of hard to take your open house signs on.
That's true too.
There's that.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I mean, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have anything right now where
you'll find this hilarious. At that time, my phone was. I'm really going to sound old here, and I am. My phone, which I got in, I think 1990, was attached to the car.
It was one of those.
Yeah, it was built into the car. So so I needed my phone. I needed my car because I needed my phone.
Yeah, and
it's funny to think about this. I haven't thought about it in a long time.
And then you had to, I'm sure, write down all of your clients' phone numbers and dial it in right on the
right on the car. Pager, Ryan. I had a pager.
And I can't even imagine what it's going to be like in 30 years from now, when I'm sitting at someone's whatever and talking to them, like, back then we only had cell phones where I could call people all the time and they could answer.
You couldn't show somebody through a house on FaceTime. Like you couldn't do anything like that.
Crazy.
Like you couldn't find anything on a computer. It's crazy to think about and so the next 30 years, I mean, it's going to be as crazy. So
you've, I'm sure, adapted so much to the business, and I mean, now you're like big on social media, which I think is so good. I know you hate it. I know you don't like doing it.
It's just not in my wheelhouse. It's not something that comes naturally. I understand the importance of it, and I understand that to stay relevant, it's something that's necessary. I think it is necessary. For me to stay relevant, I think it's necessary. But it has not come easily. It's not been fun. And I'm just starting to, get more comfortable with it. But
what do you find is, like, what's the biggest challenge for you right now?
Content's always hard, and I always think of something, in the middle of the night or when I'm driving, and then I just put on my video, and not in the middle of the night, but finding things that I think are what people are interested in, whether it's educational stuff or or interesting or funny. Like I'd like to do funny, but I'm not doing funny yet. I can't seem to get myself to do funny. It just doesn't come naturally to me. Right. So that's something I'd like to be able to bring into it, but it's not there yet. But I'm definitely more comfortable with the whole just sitting in front of a camera. It was just hard for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to take time. It's just like anything, right? Like nothing you do is going to be comfortable the first time you do it. Right? It's going to take time. Yeah. And, the more you post, the more consistent you get. People aren't looking at your most recent videos and, they'll see it and they'll see how good it is. They're not going to scroll all the way down to the bottom of your feed to see your first video that you ever posted and say, wow, look how bad.
Look at the difference.
But they're going to see how big of a difference. And I'm sure if you go back right now and you look at your first video, you're going to say, wow, like, what was I even doing in that first video? But no one cares because you're getting better, you're improving.
I mean, I think one of the first ones I did, I mean, it must have taken me 3 hours to get out a minute of content because I did it so many times. It was pathetic. Like, that's how difficult it was for me. I was stuttering and stumbling and I was just doing it by myself and I couldn't get, but there have been a lot of things that have happened to make it easier. One of which is just reading something. I mean, that's been a game changer. But even now I can just talk more comfortably and tell a story and, it feels like me. When I look at one of the videos, it feels like my personality is there and it feels like I'm being myself in it, even though good. I'm not. Yeah. So when I wasn't as comfortable, I didn't feel like it was me, but now it's much, much better.
Yeah. Cause like you said before, you're sort of either writing down or memorizing a script and like trying to figure out like, okay, like I can't forget to say this. I can't forget to say that. Yeah. And you listen, you almost, like you sound robotic almost because you know exactly what you want to talk about. But once you do it, once you've been doing it for so long, it just comes so natural. And I know that, at this point where I'm in my career, I'm the exact same where I'm talking about things that I'm not too familiar with because I'm just learning. Yeah. But for someone who's been doing it for so long, I'm sure you're getting a little bit more comfortable because you know what you're talking about, but you can talk for longer because you have that content.
That's true. I feel like I have a lot to say. So it was just getting to a point where I'm comfortable saying it and not being so hard on myself about how I look or, the ums and the ahs. Like it's just, I just want to be natural at it. Yeah. And that took time.
But you're there. Right?
I feel like I'm there.
It took time.
Thank you. I'll take the compliment. That's awesome.
I'll give it to you because you deserve it, and it's there. Like if anyone is watching, listening, and we'll plug in all of your stuff at the end of the podcast. But you can go and you can see, and people will watch, and they wouldn't know that it took you an hour to do one of these videos. They'll see it, they'll think, oh my God, like. And even when I see these, I think that you get these, that you nail these first try because you sound so confident in your videos.
Yeah, good. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. The feedback and response has been really good. Right. So I assume that people aren't going to say it's good if if it sucks. What's the point? And
have you had negative feedback?
No. Oh well, my kids. My kids give me a hard time. Not so much anymore but if this isn't right, if I'm not completely professional, if it's not, if it doesn't, they're just hard on me. It's just, but that's okay. That's
they're
okay.
Kids, yeah. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah,
like they're hard on you and you're on them, and it's that's a relationship. And if they tell it straight, then that's
no. I'm happy that the funniest thing is though they're getting feedback from their friends who are watching them, and the feedback from their friends to them is good. So they're that's it's just a funny thing.
That's perfect.
It's what I want.
That's why you're going out there and you're seeing them because your kids are like around my age, where they're all going to be first time home buyers soon, and
I want
the only person
capture them.
That they're gonna come and look to is gonna be you. So.
No, that is why I'm doing it. And then, and then there are people who are older who are looking, not as many, but they're watching, I just had somebody tell me that they didn't know that I did a post on probate and stuff.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's when somebody dies. So it's one of those topics that I thought nobody wants to talk about it. It's not a pleasant subject, but the reality is we get called in to appraise real estate or to sell real estate where somebody has died, and you're representing the estate or the family. And first of all, it's a very tricky situation in the first place because there's been a death. So it's difficult. But the whole process of selling something that was owned by someone, and it has to go through what's called a probate, and that can take 4 to 6 months. People think that you can put a condo up for sale if great grandma passes away. You can just put her condo up for sale and away you go, but you can't, because if it's not. It's complicated. I don't even want to get into it, but you're going to learn. We don't want to go into it, but I did a little clip on it because a lot, like agents didn't even know some of the stuff that I was talking about, and it's just not something we want to talk about. But it's a reality of our world. People die, and that real estate has to be sold.
Yeah, and it's tough too, right? Like for example, like I've had friends or whatever, and I'm sure it's the same thing happened to you. Friends where their family, relatives, whatever, have passed away, and like it's so awkward because like I don't know if this is gonna sound like shallow or whatever, but like if they don't know any real estate agent and they're gonna need somebody to sell the place, obviously it's tough, and it's something that's way in the back of my mind because it's not important. You have to deal with their grievances first, but it's an awkward conversation to have. Like, do people approach you and say, hey, it might be like a month or two later, they'll say, hey, listen, like, thank you for being around. Thanks for being my friend. Whatever, we have to sell my grandparents' or great-grandparents' condo. Is that something that you would be willing to do? Is that generally how the conversation goes, or is it more?
The initial contact is usually from someone who's lost a parent, or what, it's usually a parent, and they need an appraisal done. They need an evaluation for the condo or house or whatever it is, just to go into the probate process. So they have to get 2 appraisals, and you'll be asked to do one eventually. You will for sure. I've done 4 in the last month, which is really weird. I mean, that's just strange. But then there's a whole process. It has to go into the court to be probated, at which time it can be sold. And the other thing that you'll have happen for sure, early on in my career, I had somebody who wanted to buy a house that was the estate selling it, but the probate hadn't happened. So we bought it conditionally on that probate because it can't sell firm until that's done. And it was a month, it was 2 months, it was 3 months, it was 4 months. And then my client said, we're not going to keep waiting. We want to buy a house. And we walked away from the deal. But I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. If I had a do-over, I would say, don't buy it. So you have to be able to give your clients good advice, because unless they're prepared to wait 6 months, you don't want to buy something that's stuck in the probate system for months and months. It's not good for the buyer, and it's
because a lot of times people will sell first and then they have to buy, and I'm like the whole exchange of we're buying, right. Like we'll sell our place. We're ready to buy, but our house closes in 60 days.
Can't do it.
And you buy it, and you're hoping, and then the 60 days goes by, and then
those buyers,
you're stuck for a certain period of time.
That's not a good buyer for an estate sale that isn't probated. Only if it is probated. Anyways, it's just I don't even know what I can't even remember what my point was about talking about that. Just talking about stuff that I think is valuable information, and it's different things to different people. I mean, it's hard for me to gauge. You probably know better who your audience is. I'm just trying to figure out who.
Trying to figure it out.
Yeah, for me, it's harder, I think.
Like for the people, like I said, for the people my age, a lot of the people are going to be first-time home buyers. So, targeting those kind of people is good. But also for you, like you said, I know you have a big range of people, but like you said, your kids' friends who are going to be buying soon, they're going to be looking to somebody to help them. And you said that I love doing first-time home buyers.
First-time buyers.
What about it do you like? I guess just the satisfaction of giving someone their first home.
It's so rewarding because once you've bought your first home, you know how, it's thrilling. I mean, you'll remember always buying that first home, whatever it is, whether it's a condo or a house, and it doesn't matter where it is or what it is. But that first is so exciting, and it's a more challenging process to guide buyers through that first time buying. The Toronto market's always difficult to be a first time buyer, and for many years it's been difficult. But just helping them and watching, and then you get to see them over a number of years. You get to see them when they have kids, and you get to see them, you just get to watch. I mean, I'm seeing like 3 and 4 generations of clients.
Right. It's obviously, it's so rewarding.
Awesome like that. But it starts there. It starts with that first house, and then, then they make their next move, whether it's in 5 years or 10 years. And some people stay 20 years. I just got called by somebody I sold a house to 20 years ago. Now they're empty nesters. I mean, it's just so wild. And
That's
then
crazy.
I'm going there on Friday to try and figure out what their next move is now that their kids have all moved out. Yeah. So, but their first house, when I sold it to them, it was longer than 20 years ago. This house they bought, this is probably their third house. But when I sold their first, it was probably closer to 30 years ago. So I've watched them, like I got them before they were married.
That's crazy.
Like it is, yeah.
And
yeah.
it's, I'm sure, obviously, I'm going to experience that.
You will.
But it's probably such a rewarding
Yeah.
experience to, like you said, see them go from their first house to now their third, fourth house,
Yeah.
and see the progression. I feel like that's cool too.
It's
seeing,
amazing. You get
what
to
they
see-
can afford to go, up, or up in price, or they want to move to this area, they feel like it's better, or that area, and now they got kids, and
Right.
now they know what to look
schools,
for.
or they
so.
want this, or yeah. I mean,
So
their lives.
when you're looking,
Yep.
how do you help them with what they're looking for? Because a lot of people will go in, they want to buy their first house. They're thinking, okay, either they're a couple or they're single, or, even some that have kids. How do you guide them to say, okay, like if I was looking for a place right now, I'd say, okay, I'd be perfect with a 1-bedroom apartment. But you may have the idea of, okay, well, let's hold on. You may want this place in 5 years when you have a wife, when you have kids. Maybe a 2-bedroom is better, and finding that flexibility of what can work within the price range. Like, how do you go and navigate around that?
I think it's just helping them, showing them the options, everything that's out there. I mean, I would always try and help somebody to buy a 2-bedroom something, condo or whatever, over a 1-bedroom, if they can afford it. Same with, if they're buying a house, I would try to get them. I mean, I have first-time buyers all the time who say, no, we can live without parking. We can live without parking. And I say, you'll call me in 3 years and you'll be not so happy, unless that's all you can afford. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. It's just showing them the options, where they can buy what they're looking for, maybe with a parking spot, or maybe with, like I can see into the future. I mean, I can't see into the future, but
well,
you're
the expert.
Yes. So I know what kinds of things make somebody want to move. And if they can stay in it a little bit longer, I'm all about keeping them in their real estate for a while. You don't want somebody to call you in a year from now to say, we're not happy here, we want to move. That's not a good thing, because you want them to come back to you, but happy, come back to you because you've been straight up, you've given them all the information. You might have to help someone go into a neighborhood that's different from what they think they want, for a whole bunch of reasons. You present the options, you show them what they can get, what their money can get here, what are important things to look for, what they can change in a house. And I think that's the process.
Yeah, because like you said, even the parking lots or the parking situation, I've had clients in the past who have 1 parking spot. I have clients right now who need 2 parking spots, but I'm saying, okay, well, let's look for some places that have 1 and maybe rent a second one.
Right.
Or, just because there are more options with bedrooms, if you find one that has 1 than 2, because finding 2 parking spots anywhere, even if it's a house or a condo, is almost impossible. And even if you're a buyer, same thing. You have to, like, some of these parking spots, there's a parking spot, I think, somewhere in Yorkville on Bloors, I don't know. But it's like over $100,000
for parking,
for 1 parking spot, just to own it.
Right.
And that's not even a house. That's not even an apartment. It's literally just a spot. You're $100,000 down the drain.
Right.
Just
like parking has value. Like it's and if you live in an area and you don't have a car and you live downtown, maybe parking isn't important. But you want to make sure that client understands that when they go to sell, it doesn't have the same resale value without parking as it would with 1 spot.
Yeah, it adds a ton,
even if they don't need
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, one of my friends bought a pre-con, and he ended up buying 2 spots, which is very smart because the second spot is an electric vehicle spot.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
He's smart because he knows in 4 or 5 years or whatever, 10 years, when maybe it's time for him to sell the place, electric vehicles are going to be on the rise, and all these places aren't going to have EV parking spots. So it's a
it's very smart to do that.
Yeah, being proactive in getting that, because it's super important. People don't think about that.
They don't think about that. First-time buyers just don't know to think about certain things. Maybe parents come in and something's important to them that they haven't considered, and that's why I welcome parents to come in to help. Like I'm showing something today with the parents, because I think their insight too much insight is not good, but
I was gonna say.
you don't want them to make the decisions for their kids, but to help. They see things that the first time buyer, they like, I have to point out this house doesn't have a front hall closet, and I pointed out because I lived in my first house without a front hall closet, and I did not like that. So people will move into a house and not know that there's not a front hall closet.
Yeah,
so,
I'm sure there are a ton of
lots. There
small
are lots in Toronto,
like little nicks and whatever
right.
that you see that these other people don't see, and like you said, it's so important to know your client, and obviously know the parents too, and have an idea of what they're looking for, because how many houses for a first-time home buyer, how many houses do you usually, I guess on average, sometimes it could be one and they love it, or sometimes 10.
I don't think it usually is one, because I think first-time buyers have to see more than one, but it could be, I'm going to say 5 to 10. I mean, and then there are buyers who, stretch it over a year. They decide not to. They back off. They go forward. That can happen because of interest rates, because of their situation, because of jobs, whatever. They put things on hold because they're getting married or whatever. But I would say, I haven't thought about this in a while, I would say minimum 5, usually. And, in Toronto, like, there aren't always 5 houses to show a first-time buyer. And if they can zero in on a neighborhood they want, I mean, that's the other thing. Like, I'll try and find things that aren't on the market. If they know what they want, like, I'm showing something today that it's not on MLS. So that's the other thing that, really, and about this, finding stuff that's off market. There's such an advantage to that client. If you can show them something that there isn't, a whack of, like, a big lineup, if there aren't 100 other people looking at it, if you can show them something that they might be one of a few in, it's a lot easier to make that, decision. It gives them a little bit of time if it's not on MLS, let's say.
Yeah, because that's something that we look for also in our brokerage, is going out and doing the door knocking for clients who may not know what they want, or they know what they want, and going and seeing it. Do you find like you have success door knocking?
I'm a big believer in it, because not only do I like doing it, it's worked. So if it's working for clients, it's working for me. And I mean, particularly, it's best when they know what they want and where they want, because you can really go after it. I mean, but I've also door knocked a neighborhood to find a house for someone for months, and nothing has come of it. But I've had a lot of success selling stuff off market from door knocking.
And you've also found clients from door knocking.
I have found clients from door knocking too. Yeah, I get listings from door knocking. But usually the objective is to find something for a buyer who's looking. But you stumble on people who you connect with and who end up being your sellers, as you know.
Yeah. So you don't think that's a dead practice? Because I know that there are some people today who are saying door knocking is dead. It's 2023. Why are you going out and knocking on people's doors, especially with COVID and going out and people aren't comfortable answering their doors? Like, it's fully, like, it's still a good thing, or
for
100%.
I understand why people say it doesn't work, because it hasn't worked for them, number one, or two, they hate it. I mean, a lot of people that don't like door knocking, it's not for everyone. I understand that. Like, it's not for everyone.
But it's the same for you with the videos, right? Like, you're not comfortable doing the videos,
exactly.
and I'm not comfortable doing it, but during the door knocking. But it's just getting out there and doing it, like, getting those rejections the first couple of doors, and having people not interested, that will help me develop, number one, like a script, or something to say, and then just going from there and finding.
So like, your generation, like, is more comfortable having a camera between you, but my generation, for the most part, we're more comfortable, like, belly to belly. Yeah. So if I meet somebody at the door, like, I can, like, I feel like I can engage with them in a different way, because I don't even understand how I can engage with them on social media. I know that you can. I just don't feel that it's as effective. It doesn't come easily to me. Whereas knocking on somebody's door, like, I just find it so pleasant. I mean, it's very, very rare that somebody slams a door in your face. It almost never happens, and you meet some really nice people, and it can and it's it's very rewarding. Like, to find somebody a house that you've door knocked on, like it's really rewarding. Yeah. And that for that buyer, you found something that no one else has been able to find for them.
Yeah, and I was also thinking like it's very quiet too, right? Because a lot of people don't like the whole, everyone can see that our house is up for sale. Everyone can see that, it's on MLS. They want to come look inside, which could be a good thing. It could be a plus. It could be a minus, because people are going in there, they want to see the place and they could know someone who's a buyer, but doing it exclusive and doing it off market, it's you don't even notice that it's happening, and
it can be much more civilized.
Happy.
Like, I mean, people will say, why would I want to sell my house and not go on the market? Well, I mean, if number one, you get a premium for it, you get a good price for it. You don't have to have 10,000 people, traipsing through your house. You don't have to be, there's nothing public about, as you say, you don't have a sign, you don't have, now it's not the best way to sell a house, but if somebody knocks at your door and they've got a buyer who wants exactly what they have, I mean, talk about like an easy transition, like an easy transaction. Yeah. It's win-win. I mean, and the ones that I've done have been really win-win. The sellers have been, thrilled. The buyers have been thrilled, and it's great for me too, because there's not a lot. There's no competition, and it just has worked. And I can like it's happened a number of times. Like I've had,
and it shows you're a go-getter too, right? That you're going out there and you're putting it all for your client, and that's obviously what I'm doing as well. It's just going to take 30 years.
No, it's not. It's not going to take 30 years.
To develop it, to grow, to start from.
It doesn't take 30 years.
Start from now and build it up from there.
But we're always growing and changing and like rethinking ways to do things. 30 years ago, we were cold calling. We were just sitting on the phone every day. That was the way to do it. Or we were going after people selling privately. People aren't selling privately anymore. So you're constantly, you're not reinventing the wheel, but you're, just thinking about new ways to help your clients, whether they're seller or buyers.
Right. And when you have sellers and they are going to sell their place, like how do you prepare the house for sale so that it looks good? Because like you said, the off market, sometimes if they want it, they'll just take the house as is. They don't need to go in and see it. But if you have your own listing, and let's say it is, even if it's someone that someone or someone you don't know, what's the best way? I don't want to say best way, but what do you think are some of the practices that will help you sell the place to get it ready for sale?
There's a lot that goes into getting a house on the market and having it show its best, because anybody can put something on the market, and you've shown houses that look like they look like a dog's breakfast. They don't look pretty, and there's no wow factor. But you can give almost any property a wow, and we didn't always do this. This isn't the way it was done. There was no such thing as staging 30 years ago. If sellers, some sellers, I mean, if they picked their underwear up off the floor of their bedroom, that was a lot. Like that was good, yeah. But that, so even that's changed. I mean, always you wanted people to clean it up, declutter it. You wanted to do any repairs that were necessary. But now it's much more, because the competition, everybody else is staging and making the house. I believe in paint jobs. I believe in every repair being done. Landscaping, if it's in the summer, you want the first impression. It's all about first impressions, right? Like you want that. It's like anything. Yeah. It's like anything. You're going on a date. You trim your beard. You make sure your hair is clean. You take a shower. Yeah. You put on deodorant. Like you wouldn't think of going out on a date, on a first date,
waking up in the morning.
You would not. You brush it.
Yeah.
So that's my analogy. You want the house to look its best. You want buyers to walk in and say, even if it's not for them, this is lovely. This is fabulous. I love the way this looks, even if it's not for them, because they can tell somebody else about it. So there's a whole list of stuff, but at the very basic level, you want to make sure repairs are done. You want to make sure it's fresh and clean and decluttered. And then you go from there. There can be, changing light fixtures. I do that a lot. Staging it, obviously. And then not all staging is the same. I mean, you've seen
Yeah,
good staging.
I've seen good staging. I've seen bad staging. I've seen it all. Yeah.
And that makes a difference too. It's not just any staging that works. Like you really, like particularly where a house it needs, it has to. You showed a listing that I had that we had to stage it to show how
great.
the space worked. Yeah. And that was an amazing staging job because that house was all open concept and buyers often don't have any vision. So you don't want to leave somebody going in with no vision. You want to like it to, so the pictures, the photography, the floor plans, like you just want to be ready to go and at this level. You don't want to just throw something on the market and not have it show its absolute best.
Yeah, because I've had same thing. I've had listings where I've put it out there where the place does not look good, and we didn't stage it, but I mean it was vacant, so we didn't put stuff in there. But we were just gonna put a picture of the place. It was just a place for rent, and we were just gonna put a picture of the place on the outside. I said no, like let's put just even a couple pictures of the inside, so people can get an idea of how it looks. My phone blew up.
For sure.
And I know it's because we put those other pictures in, because if you just have like one or two pictures, and this is for all realtors, put good pictures out, take your time, because I've had people where, like you said, you look at like an apartment and it's just a picture of the building or just a picture of the building and the amenities. Why would you do that? Just put a couple of pictures. You can get a photographer, get someone that even use your cell phone. Just put pictures of the place. Yeah. Make it look somewhat presentable, because otherwise no one's going to take a look at it.
Right.
And it's free. If you want to take pictures yourself, it's free.
Then do it.
That's when you're going to get people to come and take a look at it, right. Because otherwise, no one's gonna.
They don't want to. They look at pictures and they'll just pass it. Like they'll just discount it. They don't want to look at it if the pictures aren't decent.
And that's where staging comes in as well. It's because the staging makes it look so much better.
It's
like
just
you don't
so
even
elevated.
Realize too.
I like putting like good art on in my staging. Like I don't want it to look cheesy art. I don't want it to be cheesy art. So I don't know if we've ever talked about this. I have this this artist, and he does big original pieces, and it's part of staging, but it's not from the stager. It's art that comes from him. So I've had properties that I've put on the market where, like these incredible original pieces, it elevates it again. Now, I'm not saying that you would do it for, a $2,000 a month rental. Obviously, there are certain levels of staging for whatever, depending on the property. In some properties that makes no sense, but for some, like it's just another layer to give a house or a condo a wow, way more wow factor with great art. Yeah. Great lighting.
Because a lot of people, like you said, they don't notice that. They don't realize art, but you see it on the wall and you think that's a great painting.
Right. They walk in.
So do you give it back when the staging is done?
Yeah.
I feel like it would be so smart if you bought that original art piece and gave it to your sellers once.
It's not one piece. He puts
or
in
whatever. One of the pieces.
Some of the clients end up buying it from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they like it so much they buy it for their next place or whatever.
That's smart.
Yeah. So that's just another. It's just another way to make. But listen, not everybody buys into it. You've got sellers who will say, "No, I don't care that I've got a red wall and a green wall and blue shag rug, and I don't care. I don't want to spend money." And very respectfully, you have to understand that not everybody is that type of seller who they may get it, but they don't want to do it. Like I've got somebody who just lost like a sister, and that condo is in original condition, and they're going through so much. They just don't want to paint it. They don't want to stage it, and I get that too. That they just don't want to have to deal with that at all. So it's certainly not for everyone, but I think as an agent, you really want to try and try and help your clients not leave money on the table. You know, maybe an estate sale is an unusual situation where people obviously they don't want to put money into it. Some people will, some people won't. But you want to just help them to show how, because it can mean hundreds of thousands of dollars. The different, it really can.
To pay for, you know, the amount that you're paying for the staging comes right back because it adds so much value to the actual property itself that people don't realize that. Like you said, you know, they'll go in, they'll say, oh, you know, just take the pictures and put it up and we'll hope that it sells, which a lot of the time or sometimes it does. Yep. But if you paint it, even just white, just painting the walls white, you spend $3,000-$4,000, but you can up the price of the house by $10,000 and it all comes back and you pocket some more.
So worth it to paint. To like giving a place a coat of paint is like, to me, that's at the very basic level. You have to do it. You almost have to do it to rent something. Like you just give it a fresh look. It makes a huge difference, and not have too much clutter. I mean, that's obvious. I mean, a lot of these things are obvious. I mean, but these are. But
it's not obvious, right? Because so I've spoken about this. People who are listening to the podcast, you know, some people who are number one first-time home buyers, but other people who have places might not think about it, or even agents. I mean, agents probably will think about this, but to us, it's second nature because we're agents. But a lot of people who aren't agents, they don't think about these things.
Right, it's true.
Right, but that's our job, is to guide them, to help them understand that this is what can add value to your house.
Exactly.
This is what's going to help you sell your house in 2 days rather than 2 months.
And get more money for it. I mean, that's what most people want. And sometimes you have to rejig the furniture that they have, because I mean, I remember a few years ago I had somebody using a space upstairs, like up a few stairs, as a dining room, and to put the house on the market, that wasn't a great configuration. The way they were, like, just because they like using it that way doesn't mean that it should go on the market with that setup. And as a realtor, and as you know what sells and what people like and what buyers are looking for, you can help them to, okay, let's move the dining room on the same level and make that the den. That stands out in my mind because I had to convince them to not have that dining room up on that level, because buyers, we think that buyers have vision and they can see a space differently, and many can, but most can't. That's my belief, that most can't. They want to see it the way they're going to live it. They don't want to see the way the homeowner lives. They don't want to see the closets full of crap, and they don't want to see, all their stuff. They want to see it looking like, even though they're not going to live like that, they want to see it as beautiful a space as it can be, and functional.
Yeah, that's most important.
Huge.
Is seeing it and being able to actually use it. Yeah, because like you said, if you move the dining room table down and you move the couches up into that space, but the couches don't actually fit in that space, it's not
no good. That's no good. Sometimes it's putting in a table in a kitchen that doesn't have a table, just so that you can say it's an eating kitchen. I mean, that's important to people. And sure, you can look at it and say, oh, a table will fit there, but if they don't see it, it's not the same.
Yeah,
it's just not the same.
And even if it's vacant too, right?
Right.
Like, if it's vacant, you can't see anything. Yeah. So at least putting something there is definitely most important. So yeah. Also, we're actually almost almost at the end. I swear it's been a great chat. No, I know that's the thing, right? It feels like a minute, and like you said, these are your first podcasts, so. Yeah, I think it was great.
Let's do it again, Ryan.
we can do it again anytime you want. We can have you on next week if you want to, and we can have two chats. But I'm going to leave you with one question, which I usually speak to most of the realtors about, is what's some advice you would give a new realtor who's just joining the business?
Patience. Stick-to-itiveness. I don't know if that's a word. It's not really. It's tenacity.
It's not one word.
It's tenacity, but it's stick to it. Like, stay the course and don't get discouraged. And I always you hear from young and new realtors, I don't like this, and I don't take that off the table. You don't like it, too bad. just do it. Just do it, do it, do it. And in the end, like it's a very rewarding business. But
as you can see,
Yeah.
30 plus years
Yeah,
down the road, and
yeah.
I don't see you stopping
I
anytime
am
soon.
not
so
stopping. I am not stopping.
That's
But
great.
I think that's the best advice.
That's good.
Stick with
anyway,
it and-
thanks, Risa, for
My
coming on. That was
pleasure.
great.
Thank you
Where
for
can
having me.
people? Where can they find you on social media and whatever?
Risa Freeman Real Estate, I think that's a
I
handle.
don't know.
Is that called a handle?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even know
Yeah.
what that means, a handle. But I think it's Risa Freeman Real Estate, and just through Slavens and my phone number.
Okay.
What else? I don't know what else.
Well, that's it. All right. Well,
Okay.
Thanks so much again. I actually
Pleasure.
really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank
And,
you for having me.
Yeah. Again, if you're listening, like, subscribe, whatever. Give us 5 stars on whatever you're listening to, and we'll see everyone next week.